Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are the co-hosts of Jumping Bomb Audio, the #1 show all about the world of Joshi Pro Wrestling. Episodes drop every other Monday, where we discuss the biggest Joshi news, review shows, and preview the hottest upcoming Joshi action.
So whether you're a new fan or an old fan, we've got something here for you at Jumping Bomb Audio.
Check us out on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Okay, that is a good sign. We are very in sync on that tonight.
So we are Justin Timberlake and one of the other ones.
Joey Fatone.
Sure. He's the dead one, isn't he?
I don't think any of NSYNC are dead. They might be dead to you. I don't know. Hey there, Thunder Buddies and Travelers down Thunder Road. It's us, Days of Thunder, the WCW Thunder Rewatch podcast that you didn't ask for, but we did anyway, coming to as part of the Voice of Wrestling Podcast Network and powered by largemanappears.com. It's your Davina McCall on Thunder Road, Dave Ryan, and I'm joined as I am every week by my faithful co-host. It's Stagger Lee Malone. Lee, how are you?
I am absolutely flying. I'm in great form, Dave.
We're live and in living colour for the first time on the podcast. Yes.
An actual episode live.
For those of you catching us in the feed later, we broadcasted this momentous episode of Thunder live on the Days of Thunder YouTube channel, for which you can find links on all our social media.
I have to ask, why did you do the intro twice when you're going to leave the fuck up in the actual intro?
In the video, yeah, because I'm going to have to just leave because I'm not editing the video, Lee. That's just simply not happening. So if you want to see me fuck up this intro, audio only listeners, go to the YouTube channel and you're going to see a powerful fuck up.
You're actually going to edit it out of the audio?
I'll edit it out with the audio. Yeah, so recording the audio. That's easy enough.
Coward.
That's easy enough. Yeah, no, I will do it. I'll spare my blushes for the audio crowd. But Lee, it's great to be here. It's weird to be here.
It is weird
doing this live. I feel like there's been kind of reasons here or there. People have kind of asked, would you ever do a live one? Would you do a video podcast? And we've kind of always pushed off on that because the truly momentous Thunder moments have mostly yet to come. And we wanted to make sure it was a special one. But I feel like there was a big kind of a groundswell of you should do something for this particular show, the end of the Nash booking era.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think it's because it's the end of the Nash booking era that people wanted us to do this episode live. I think it's because of Kevin Nash's commentary that people want us to do this live. So,
indeed.
Before we get into it, we will say this is not a watch-along. This is, we have watched the show. We will review the show like a normal Thunder DOT episode. Yeah. So, you will not see any video on this. It's just, we've seen the show. If you haven't, good for you.
Think of the live podcasts, if and when we do more of them, as like a book club type approach, where we're not watching the show, we've all gone away and watched the show, and now we're going to discuss it. And what I'm excited about is for the people who either have memories of the show or, like Jamie O'D in the chat, have gone and watched the show in the build-up to this podcast. They might have things to add in as we're reviewing matches. I'll have the live chat here on YouTube open, and I'll chip in people's 2 cents as we go along. But before we get into all that, because like if we're known for anything, it's avoiding talking about wrestling for as long as possible. How have you been, pal?
I'm good. Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since we talked, so
it is.
Yeah, no, I'm doing okay. I've had a little holiday last week, had a couple of nights away over the other side of the country, so, that was nice. But yeah, no, I'm good. I can't complain.
I was at a wedding yesterday.
You were? Yes.
I was at a family wedding. It was like a whole roller coaster week of family news that I'm not going to bore people with here, but the one kind of solitary good thing was this wedding yesterday that was on one side of my family. It was funny, we were talking about the speeches were quite brisk. Like, how long, when you go to a typical wedding, how long are the speeches bell to bell? Like, if you were to count all the speeches together?
Like, from any time we've done, the way people do the bets on the speeches, the best man speech and stuff like that. It's normally, you're running like 30, 35 minutes. I'd say is average.
Yeah. So our table did pools last night, and I had 28:30 was what I went with. And actually bell to bell the speeches were 19 minutes.
Wow.
Like that was brisk. And I went up to thank the groom afterwards. I was like, "You've done a solid job there, mate." Like, because people were hungry.
That's getting them in and out. That's hitting the high notes and no more.
And he was very nervous, and I was telling him, he did great and stuff like that. And he was just like, yeah, you've got it all ahead of you next year. I said, yeah, the speech is one of the things I'm not stressed about at all. And he thought, in my head, it was because, I have a long history of public speaking when I was in school, when I was in college, doing this as well. Do you know what I mean? I'm used to being on. And that's what I meant. But what he interpreted as was that I was going to cut a word for word wrestling promo and that I wouldn't write my lines. I was like, do you think I'm going to get up there and do the Hard Times promo or something like that? Just me at my own wedding with a tear in my eye.
Oh God, that would be fantastic. If you do it, I will record it.
Yeah, Dave. The speeches are depending on who you talk to. The one thing we've had to set for our wedding is I've kind of told my best man, and we've told Emma's dad, 10 minutes tops. We're talking 5 is the sweet spot, really. 10 tops, and the one thing I've utterly ruled out because I've never seen it executed well during a wedding speech is PowerPoint being used as a prop.
Oh God.
I was like, if I see a projector come out, I'm walking. I'm out of here.
I've seen some long best man speeches. If I recall correctly, the one at it wasn't my brother. I think my brother did one at a friend of his, and it was like a 20-minute best man speech.
Yeah,
and nobody needs that.
No, nobody needs that.
But
my grandfather was known in our family as a very long speech man. The grandfather of famous stories on this podcast lore. He, even by the time his last daughter got married, the first line in his speech was, "Place your bets."
Oh, see, speeches at weddings are unusual now because now there'll be brides that give speeches. Bridesmaids sometimes when there's maid of honors and stuff. Everybody seems to give a speech now at some weddings. Yeah. So it's hard to tell.
My uncle, who was the father of the bride yesterday, impressively winged it. Nothing written down.
Fair play.
Just went off his dome. Now it was only 2 or 3 minutes, but I respect that. I respect that big time.
I was, how old was I when my brother got married? I would have been 20, 21, and I winged it.
Yeah. Fair play.
Just because I didn't know any better.
Yeah. Did you plug the podcast when you're up there?
No.
Coward.
Unfortunately, I did not.
Coward.
If I had known in advance that 15, 20 years later I would be doing a podcast, I absolutely would have plugged it.
Yeah.
I also would have been a lot more comfortable doing the speech itself, but
Yeah, you should have always known you were going to get here. Yeah. Right. Okay. Let's talk booze. Because we were talking about how we were trying to think how best to celebrate this particular thing. We weren't going to do the podcast really any differently in terms of format, but we thought, considering basically Kevin Nash spends 2 hours lit on live TV, we thought we'd return to an old trope of the podcast, which is to drink ourselves through Thunder.
Yes.
And we had started off for a long time, Days of Thunder listeners, they'll remember we were trying different beers every week. And then the two of us at some point settled into a whiskey groove. And I think that's where we're going tonight, both of us. So do you want to go first, pal?
Yeah, so tonight I have one of my absolute faves. I'm a bourbon drinker. When I do have a drink, I have not had the drink at home in many's a month. But when I do have a drink at home, I do love a bourbon. So I am drinking tonight a Jack Daniels.
Tennessee
Tennessee
the American
Fire.
whiskey dragon, Jack Danielson.
That's definitely a Shakara gimmick. Jack Daniels Tennessee Fire, one of my faves. And absolutely drinking it straight because, it's the way it's best.
I am going, I thought appropriately for how poorly written this show often is. Thunder, not Days of Thunder. Absolutely expertly put together broadcast every time out of the gate. Definitely don't fuck up intros or anything like that. I'm going with Writer's Tears, Copper Pot whiskey. Triple distilled, of course, Irish. And I'm cutting that I'm going to go with a ginger ale with that. Nice gentle one. So I've got some ginger ale. I've got some ice in the official Days of Thunder mini fridge beside me. We might switch to the Pepsi Maxes after a while. I don't know, but I didn't bring my measure up so that I could very liberally pour. And we're gonna get this show on the road. I thought let's kind of take the Band-Aid off about this episode of Thunder before we get into it. This is a diabolical program.
Look, as one of the commentators said, who booked this?
Yes, this was a terrible wrestling program full of terrible wrestling or good wrestlers being made to speed up for time. And it was soundtracked by 2 out of 3 commentators just burying the company left, right, and centre.
And one who just didn't realise what was going on until about 3/4 of the way through the show.
Yes, but of course our first port of call before we get into the substance of Thunder is to have a look at the wider wrestling world this week. We're going to see what Dave has been talking about in The Observer this week. And I was telling you off air before we came on, it's a surprisingly, it feels like every week is an action-packed week in The Observer in 1999. There's just a million things happening all the time. Well, of course, the first thing we have to talk about is this week's poll in The Observer, which is for people to know, what did the Observer readership think of Heroes of Wrestling?
I really want to hope there was a thumbs up. At least one.
There was exactly one.
Yes.
Thumbs up. Making 1.2% of the poll. 85 thumbs down, which was 98.8%. The best match, if such a thing can be said, was Too Cold Scorpio versus Julio Fantastico with 48 votes. Coming in second was Abdullah the Butcher versus the One Man Gang with 9 votes, which is less a commentary on how good that match was and more a commentary on how bad everything else was. And of course, winning by a mile, the worst match was the former Bushwhackers versus Sheik and Volkov, which we'll get down to. I want to read out Dave's star ratings for Heroes of Wrestling that he has. So we will get to that later, so we'll just put a pin in that for now. The main lead story in The Observer this week is the passing of Bob Gino Morella, better known as Gorilla Monsoon. I don't want to get too into that now, because we kind of talked about that a bit more when it happened and it was addressed live on Thunder last week. But yeah, he does it like just a classic. Like if you've read The Observer any length of time, one thing Dave knocks out of the park consistently, it's obituaries for old wrestlers. And it's a great little read in there. It's about like 6 or 7 pages in the Observer this week, so it's well worth seeking this one out. I think it's the October 18th 1999 edition of The Observer, by the way. And yeah, that takes us all the way down to the 8th page, where speaking of obituaries, there's nearly an obituary in the second story for New Japan Pro Wrestling. As he says, if there was ever a sign that New Japan was in trouble, it's when, after all the hype beforehand, and we have been hearing about this Tokyo Dome show coming up for quite a while in The Observer, the Shinya Hashimoto versus Naoya Agawa match failed to sell out the Tokyo Dome.
The Dome's a big arena, but Yeah, I mean...
There was over 15,000 empty seats. They
Now,
sold 58.5.
Now, they did not sell 58.5 and have 15,000 empty seats. We know that's not possible.
That's what, on paper, was 58.5, and there was well over 15,000 seats empty in the building when the show started.
Like, if there was 15,000 empty seats, they got about 27,000.
They said by the time the junior heavyweight title matches began, there was a lot more people in the building, but it was still, like, clearly not sold out. They said the show, which was about 4 hours long, was largely good, but it's apparent at this point that they're just not drawing at the moment with what they're doing. And again, it's so funny.
I love that, like, mid 20,000s is not drawing. I mean,
what I love is what's really quaint and a reminder of the time in 1999 is Dave having to talk about, I've heard this match is good, because of course it's 1999, so he hasn't seen it yet. Yeah. It was only like a week ago, so of course he hasn't seen it. Fumi hasn't sent the tape over. What have we got next? Oh, so Jerry Lawler eating shit in the mayoral election just happened. Jerry Lawler didn't shock the world. The second attempt in a 1-year period of a man who gained national fame as a heel color commentator on the WWF broadcast to win elected office didn't have the same result as the first. Lawler, who turns 50 next month, finished third place in a crowded mayoral race in his home city of Memphis. He got 19,000 votes, which equates to about 12% of the electorate, well behind Willie Harrington, who got 75,000 votes. And he was the incumbent as well. Okay. And even the guy who was ahead of him got 41,000. So it's a pretty distant third. Yeah. So that's. I can't say I'm shedding too many tears for Lawler.
I wonder why the people of Memphis would not vote for Jerry Lawler for office.
Yeah. I hope you're free on the 23rd of November 1999, Lee, because Shawn Michaels, the Funks, former karate legend Willie Williams, and several wrestlers from ECW will headline FMW's 10th anniversary show called the Entertainment Wrestling Special Live at the Yokohama Arena. The show, billed as having 7 main events, is headlined by a loser leaves FMW death match. For the World Entertainment Wrestling Championship, with champ Kodo Fuyuki defending against Masato Tanaka. Michaels will referee the first singles match between H, the original, and now unmasked Hayabusa, and fake Hayabusa.
Jesus.
There'll also be a pair of WBW title matches. There's a bunch. Tori and Terry Funk, who haven't teamed together since in Japan since 1987. The original foreign babyface team in Japan face FMW prelim wrestlers Naohiko Yamazaki and Yoshinori Sasaki. Are you interested in that card? Is that selling?
I was just gonna say that, like, even for 1999, that's a real waste of Terry Funk.
Yeah. There's an update. Like, I'm clearly seeing that, like, Russo or people who are fond of Russo are talking directly to Dave at this point, because it's all about how great Russo is and about all the things he wants to change in WCW. There's a clear pipeline of Russo trying to get the propaganda about his ideas out there before he starts, which I think is very cute, considering how, like, quickly things turn once he arrives. Russo, who's only 38 at this point, by the way. But it says, the sudden and unexpected signing of Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara by WCW, according to Russo, was the result of him seeing the inevitable future of what would happen if he stayed. So what you're getting is a lot more talk about the him being stretched thin because of his work, and he wants to come in and make Thunder 1 hour, and Dave does the same routine he did a couple of weeks ago, like, look, that's a mixed blessing, because yes, there's less TV to write, but you're losing an hour's worth of advertising money, TV revenue, things like that. He talks about his 3 kids. It's everything you've heard him say before about why he made the switch. Like,
so what could possibly make you think it's coming straight from Russo or one of his associates?
Yeah, I know, right? There's an interesting thing that he talks about Steve Austin in here, Dave. is in recent weeks, Russo's relationship with Austin had deteriorated. Russo himself categorized Austin as the hardest person to work with in the company, feeling that since Austin's popularity skyrocketed after working hard for so many years in the business, that he was deathly afraid his popularity would fall back to the same level just as quickly. The major heat of late was Russo booking Austin in a program to elevate Jeff Jarrett, and Austin turning it down, feeling such a program with a guy who wasn't over at a main event level would diminish his popularity. McMahon sided with Austin in this dispute. Russo also saw how Austin moved around during some of the physical television angles and booked him in television matches. For example, on the SmackDown show where Helmsley was to work 5 times, originally one of the 5 bouts was to be a death match with Austin.
A death match?
Yes. You can tell this is coming from Russo because he's just saying shit. Like, that's not happening on UPN, lads. Austin had a legitimate torn TCL and was not ready to wrestle, and there was heat because he refused to wrestle until the 10-17 pay-per-view, and as it turned out, he did a brawl on the 10-11 Georgia Dome show after all, and also because he'd been given time to go deer hunting in Michigan, wasn't going to appear on television show in the 2 weeks before. So now, for the time being...
I was just going to say, now, we know with hindsight that Austin was incredibly difficult to deal with around this time.
There's a hint of truth about what he says here because the Austin paranoia thing is well documented.
Mm-hmm. Like he legit refused to put over Triple H, and obviously the Jarrett stuff is well tread at this point. Russo was absolutely insane to try and push a Jarrett Austin angle.
Yeah,
repeatedly. It wasn't that he tried once; he repeatedly tried to make Jarrett and Austin a thing.
He's trying to make fetch happen,
but that doesn't, that doesn't excuse the fact that Austin was a bit of an arsehole to deal with.
Oh, for sure. And, like, particularly at this period of time, because you have the Triple H thing, like, makes SummerSlam a mess, and then you have this, it leads straight into the Jarrett thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then this culminates in Jarrett leaving and Russo leaving, so... It's a big deal, and it's all happening right now. And yes, there is an element of truth to it, but to paint him like, oh, look, I'm just trying to get this guy, do you know what I mean? Like, and not like he was some sort of jumped up idiot who was just like, we've told you no, and he kept annoying them.
A death match on fucking SmackDown, of course.
The creative team now in WWF, in his wake, obviously all answering to Vince, but at the moment, creative is in the hands of Terry Taylor, Bruce Pritchard, Bill Banks, who was a writer for the magazines, and Kevin Kelly.
Bill Banks would not be long in joining them in WCW, I believe.
No. It's the WWF magazine to WWF creative team to WCW pipeline. Russo and held Bill Banks after him. Apparently Russo's deal in WCW is heavily incentive-based. A raise is involved. We don't have any reliable figures. But the pay goes up based on television ratings and buy rates increasing.
So what you're saying is his pay rate never went up then?
That's the WCW Fall Brawl pay-per-view in reality did far worse than was being reported anywhere. That's the other thing. There is a little bit of a boost when he comes in because the Fall Brawl, as we noted at the time, was so bad, and it does jump back up for the next 6 months or so. So he probably does get, he's very like Hogan-like, and he times when he arrives at things very well during this period.
So does he get credit for the Halloween Havoc?
Well, this is the other thing that's in this story that I thought was interesting, is that he's not he's not in charge of like the angles and the stories right now. But we're being told that he's in control of the finishes at the pay-per-view.
Okay, so he's basically in charge. Okay.
Yeah, and he's in charge of the finishes, and that's 10/24 is the pay-per-view, and then he will be on
Nitro.
10/25.
It's his first Nitro. Yeah.
He's done it because he can never, again, still the case today, but he can't shut the fuck up in 1999. He's already saying that the people he's looking to elevate, write these ones down, and it's interesting to see the ones that come to pass and not. He's going to work to elevate Chris Benoit, Buff Bagwell, Ernest Miller, Billy Kidman, and Eddie Guerrero. One of those things in particular is not like the others.
I mean,
like, you could go Buff Bagwell's not at that standard either, but Buff Bagwell at least is an over commodity in WCW.
I mean, sure. But I mean, my question there is, where's Disco?
Yeah. Hold on. No, right afterwards. He's also mentioned disco in other interviews.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah. There you go. He's done it, folks. We didn't plan that.
I was wondering when...
That's the latest. It's literally a 4-page story on all the things Russo definitely didn't directly say to Dave.
I mean, look, we've talked about this off here. It's very obvious when somebody is talking directly to a Dave or a Wade or an Alvarez or a Sean Ross Sapp.
They're not as good as they think they are at covering their tracks.
No, they really aren't. Just think objectively about where these things are coming from, and it's probably right when you think, oh, I wonder if that's that person. It probably is. Yes.
In the 2000s, if you wanted to know what Chris Benoit and Booker T were annoyed about this week, read the Figure 4. So, a follow-up on a story that absolutely horrified you the other week in The Observer. A clarification on the case filed this past week against Martha Hart by WWFE. According to Jerry McDivitt, to justify bringing an action in federal court requiring the change of venue, which is what the WWF seeks in this case, it requires a presentation of at least $75,000 in damages. The WWF is looking to get the Hart lawsuit moved from Missouri to Connecticut, and if it is moved to Connecticut, it will be litigated under Connecticut law, not Missouri law. And as we kind of explored the other week on the podcast, Connecticut law, for many reasons, is obviously quite beneficial to them over Martha.
It's so weird. Like, as a non-American, when you see these, like, federal... Like, you have federal law, you have state law, you have, like... It's so unusual. The fact that the states have different fucking... standards for court and stuff. It's so odd. Whereas, like, if you're in court in Dublin or you're in court in Cork, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, for sure. We move on, and I love how, like, Dave, a lot of the time when he's given takes on stuff, like, he'll couch himself in things and not speak in absolutes, because he knows, like, you know, wrestling moves on and progresses, and you can't be absolutist all the time. Well, he opens this next paragraph with, "It was the worst pay-per-view show of all time. It set new standards for bad wrestling. It made former worst match of the year winners like Hogan versus Warrior look like great athletic contests. Big Boss Man versus Al Snow with dogs around the ring barked less than many matches on this show. Perhaps the only positive note when seeing so many former stars who know exactly what to do being physically unable to do it makes you marvel at just how good men like Ric Flair, Dos Caras, Gran Hamada, and in their day people like Nick Bockwinkel were when they could still put on decent matches as they hit the half-century mark. There's almost nothing good to write about the 1010 Heroes of Wrestling debut show from Casino Magic in Bay St. Louis, Missouri, before a mainly papered crowd of 2,300 largely non-wrestling fans. He puts over Dutch Mantel doing a solid job on commentary. Randy Rosenblum, who has no knowledge of wrestling, was so bad it ranked among the worst announced pay-per-view spectacles ever, ranking only ahead of Herb Abrams screaming, "Let's hear it for the Jews."
Jesus, there's a callback.
Yeah. Tully Blanchard cut a good promo and appeared in good shape, but his knees are shot and he was unable to do a thing with Stan Lane. Too Cold Scorpio and Julio Fantastico had the best match on the show, and at best it was indie level work of two guys who didn't work well at all together but did modern moves. There was also a shocking amount of response to the show. It may well break even on pay-per-view, although if they do a second show in late February, as was the original plan, they don't have a prayer. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing because he goes on for pages about this pay-per-view.
I can imagine.
I didn't know that they originally had Gordon Soley booked for the show, but because his health was so bad at this point that he backed out. Here are the star ratings. Samoan SWAT team versus Marty Jannetty and Tommy Rogers. Half a star. Greg Valentine versus George the Animal Steel. -3 stars.
Yeah, we should add, for anyone who's not aware, Dave is very much still a hard marker back in 1999.
Yeah, although I think I've seen clips of this show. I think fair.
Oh no, it's absolutely fair for this show, but like he's not afraid of a negative star.
Too Cold Scorpio, Julio Fantastico, 1.25 stars, and that's the one he said was the best on the show. Bushwhackers versus Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. Minus 459.4 stars, which is absolute zero in Fahrenheit. He wrote in brackets, absolute zero. This is the worst match I've ever rated in my life. Very famously, in the figure 4, Brian Alvarez's rating was more stars than there are stars in the universe, and the universe is infinite. Tully Blanchard versus Stan Lane. Dud. Abdullah the Butcher versus the One Man Gang. Minus 2.25 stars. Jimmy Snuka versus Bob Orton. Minus 1 star. Jim Neidhart and King Kong Bundy versus Jake Roberts and Yokozuna. Minus 3 stars. That was the main event.
That's generous. Because that's an awful match.
Yeah. Well, I just remembered the state of Jake. That's all I remember about that. Yeah. Jesus Christ. What have we got here as well? Yes. Okay. So we got a couple of little bits at the end here. So the Providence Journal ran a lengthy story the past week about a lawsuit being filed since 9/28 by Eric Koulas and his parents against ECW, Paul Heyman, Todd Gordon, Jerome Young, the Wonderland Racetrack, the City of Revere, Jamal Mustafa, Devin Hughes.
Paul Revere, I always knew it was him.
Yeah, Devin Hughes, Devon Dudley, and RF Video, who taped the event.
Okay. So obviously this is the mass transit for anyone who's not obviously aware at this point.
Yes, so the mass transit incident of a guy who was 17 at the time, lied about his age, got in the ring with New Jack.
Got cut the fuck up.
New Jack mutilated him in the ring.
Like, we're all wrestling fans, we've seen some bad shit. But, like, if you've never seen the mass transit, 1, do not seek it out. And 2, it's uncomfortable. Like, it's genuinely uncomfortable.
Hearing his father at ringside and everything, like, it's a horrifying thing. If you want to see it captured, I thought the New Jack Dark Side of the Ring was very good for not only capturing what happened, but also capturing that still, as of the recording of that episode, New Jack did not feel bad about it at all. That was Jack all over. Like, he had a lot of things, but regrets weren't among them. I'll tell you that much. We have 2 last bits here. Just like scroll down a good bit because we're going through the results section. But I thought what was interesting was a little company called the British Wrestling Federation are going on their second tour starting on 10/6. I thought for Mark and a couple of other maybe English people that might be listening, they'd be interested in hearing about that. John Tenta is the headliner. Along with younger American wrestlers Joe Denson, Jason Daniels, and Wildfire Shane Banks. The tour will also include UK wrestlers such as Dan Collins, Skull Murphy, James Mason, Drew McDonald, Tarzan Boy Darren, and Blondie Barrett. And honestly, if you didn't know any better, it sounds like I'm making half of them up.
I know a good few of those British ones I am aware of.
Yeah. Will they still be knocking around when you started getting into the indies?
No. It's more I know them from historical. So run through them there again. Just the British end of them there.
Oh, it started to go on. Dan Collins.
That's Danny Boy Collins, yeah.
Yeah. Skull Murphy.
Yeah, he's another World of Sport guy.
James Mason.
Obviously you're aware
James
of.
Mason, yeah. Drew McDonald.
Yeah, big guy.
Large man.
No, he is. He's
a
very large man, yeah.
Tarzan Boy Darren.
I thought that was a William Regal gimmick back in the day.
I would love it if Darren from HR was once Tarzan Boy Darren.
Anyway, go on.
And then Blondie Barrett.
Yeah, he's another old World Sport guy. He came up with Regal, I think.
Do you think Wade Barrett got some inspiration there name-wise?
I'd imagine that's where they got Barrett from, yeah.
Yeah. So we got the WCW news briefs before we head on. So Harley Race was asked to ref the Hart Benoit match, but turned it down. But saying because of his injuries, he'd slow the match down too much. But asked if he could ring announce it. Apparently Benoit broke down in tears after the match. From what we've been told, it was even better live in the building, the match, because there was no commercial interruptions, obviously. At the 10-3 house show in Oklahoma City, they introduced Danny Hodge before the match, but didn't introduce Bill Watts, who was also there. This is my favorite news story of the week. When did Sting turn, Lee?
The last pay-per-view, when he won the title.
Yep. Sting is already asking to be turned babyface.
No.
Yeah. It's 3 weeks, I think. Maybe 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's why they go the direction they go. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Bob Mould, the newcomer on the booking committee, is a long-time wrestling fan out of New York who's very well known in the underground rock scene and a cult favourite songwriter and performer in independent and college rock, said to be a big fan of Japanese wrestling, which is, again, would explain the increased amounts of chatter about Japanese wrestling the last month or so on the show.
Which is great to have him around when Vince Russo, of all people, is coming in to run things.
I know, right? Oh, they'll get on like a house on fire. ICP this week are claiming in interviews they've signed contracts with WCW and they are booked on upcoming dates. So get ready. They're coming back. Get your belts ready. Some pants are about to fall down. Shane Douglas, great time when they were trying to reheat the Revolution. Shane Douglas will have to undergo surgery to repair a torn bicep on 10/13, but expects to be appearing on television regularly, even though he won't be able to wrestle for at least several weeks, if not longer. He was also due to get an MRI this week because his rotator cuff is fucked as well.
The man's just broken. He's just beyond repair at this point.
This is interesting, and I hope there's tape of this. Jimmy Hart, Hugh Morris, Disco Inferno, Vampiro, and Ernest Miller are scheduled to tape an episode of Family Feud.
Okay.
I'd watch that.
Yeah, let's watch that instead of Thunder.
This is funny because this kind of like Kevin Nash essentially alludes to this on the show, but there's a lot of discussion at Turner about the future of Saturday Night.
So
funny enough, they don't go with what Kevin Nash pitches.
I mean, look, I would have.
Yeah. The original plan was for Hudson and Mike Tenay to do the show live to tape at the buildings and have more of an old-style Memphis spontaneous atmosphere as opposed to voiceovers and tape matches, but we did talk about that, that was the idea they had. That seems to have fallen through. Jimmy Hart is running the shows, generally focusing around wrestlers not being used on Nitro and Thunder, so it's essentially Shotgun or Metal, if you've never seen WCW or Saturday Night. Hart is planning this week on introducing Shane Helms, Shannon Moore, and Evan Courageous as a 3-man babyface team as an updated Rock and Roll Express type gimmick called either the Bad Street Boys or 3 Count.
Well,
Did you think it was this soon?
I mean, the Bad Street Boys was absolutely getting sued, but you know, it definitely fits Jimmy's motif for ripping off. You know,
well, apparently they've been using that gimmick on the Indies.
Ah, okay, yeah, but you know, Indies.
Yeah. I didn't think it was. I thought it was a good bit into 2000. So this is one we can't blame Russo for.
Yeah, no, it kind of makes sense because, like, they're on TV by like late '99.
Yeah, and it is late. Like we're in October.
Yeah. So yeah, no.
Evan Courageous is getting his. Do you know what I mean? Evan Courageous was getting his push there recently. So, among the names now being confirmed as dropped from their contracts, which is very interesting for one of these names, because you think, you'll see these guys again. Eric Watts.
Okay.
Horace Hogan, who's almost immediately back.
Yeah.
Scott Norton.
Boo.
Yeah. Mike Enos. Farewell, brother. Chad Fortune, Barry Darso, and Barry Horowitz.
I mean,
they
we have not seen either of the Barrys on the show in many, many months.
In lieu of contract, all of them being said they can stay with the company on $500 per match guarantees. Yeah, per date deals for them. Jimmy Hart was able to save Disorderly Conduct's contract. I know you're relieved. By convincing management they were getting 2 teams because they're getting Disorderly Conduct and the Texas Hangmen when they wear masks. So Turner were like, oh my god, 2 tag teams for the price of 1. Keep those guys.
Can they get them new fucking gear for the Texas Hangmen?
Yeah. Gene Okerlund has re-signed though, so they use all that money they saved on those guys to re-sign Mean Gene. Dale Torborg wrestled on Thunder as the MVP, but may be given a new gimmick. You'll be shocked to learn.
Oh, I wonder what gimmick that could be.
Yeah. This is great. I really wish we had seen this on Nitro. Because Sting wasn't at Nitro, he had an acting commitment elsewhere. They flew in Jeff Farmer to do an angle as Sting, but decided against it on the night.
God. How could they?
We've a little bit of more detail on Lenny and Lodi immediately being off TV. So their characters were dropped because a letter was written from GLAAD, the Gay Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. Their entertainment media director wrote TNT president Brad Siegel that the character of Lenny is presented with the intention to incite the crowd to the most base homophobic behaviour. He wrote in the letter about Lenny and Lodi in September and said that he was immediately called by a Turner executive who told him the character would be dropped and that Standards and Practices hired an executive whose job it would be to keep an eye on WCW. 2 weeks later, Lenny was back on Nitro, and GLAAD fired off another letter to Terry Tingle, the head of Standards and Practices at Turner. How many gay bashings and gay murders have to be committed in this country for you to remove such hurtful portrayals from your broadcasts? So it does suck for Lenny and Lodi, the people, that they bore the brunt of WCW's bad booking. But yeah.
And look, GLAAD were very active, and rightly so, in the late 90s in America, because, you know, there absolutely was way too many gay and lesbian deaths through violence in the late 90s. And, I mean, yeah, it was like a horrible portrayal to have on TV every week. We talked about it. And, yeah, it's just unfortunate that, as we said, Lenny was, like, so good. Not necessarily in the role, but as a wrestler, he was really starting to like solidify.
Find his feet.
Yeah.
The one last thing I want to say, because I want to give this quote. This is the last WCW thing, and then we'll get into this episode of Thunder, because this is a very infamous quote that happened this week. Sorry, it was reported on this week by Dave. It happened 2 weeks ago on 9:30. This, I believe, is a quote that would later be probably referred to as Exhibit A in certain lawsuits.
Oh, God.
A recent quote from Vince Russo on an internet chat with Ben Miller of WrestleLine done on 9:30, a few weeks before taking the WCW job. You're going to immediately know what...
Hang on, is it that Ben Miller?
Yeah. But that's not the important part.
I know it's not the important part, but it's that Ben Miller, yeah.
Yeah, you're immediately going to know what quote this is.
I'm sure it is, yeah.
I'm going to tell you something right now that you will absolutely not agree with, but I've been a wrestling fan my whole life, and I will live and die by this.
Yeah.
It's hard enough, believe me, I write this shit, it's hard enough to get somebody over. You will never, ever, ever, ever see the Japanese wrestlers or the Mexican wrestlers get over in an American mainstream wrestling. And the simple reason is that even myself, I'm an American, and I don't want to sound like a big bigot or a racist or anything. Good job, Vince, if you didn't want to sound like that. You got to know, when he says, I don't want to sound like a big bigot or a racist or anything, and then the next word is, but. He goes, but I'm an American. If I'm watching wrestling here in America, I don't give a shit about a Japanese guy. I don't give a shit about a Mexican guy. I'm from America. That's what I want to see.
What is it with future heads of WCW and giving interviews right before they take the job where they say some of the dumbest, most fucking inflammatory shit they can think of?
Just catching up from the Observer section on the comments here on YouTube. Keep them coming in, guys, on what we're talking about. Dave says, believe it or not, Russo and Mold did get along together. But Mold moved to gorilla position. He timed the shows out and was also a continuity nerd. Well, I guess someone had to be. He probably lost years off his life trying to maintain continuity the next 2 years. He goes, Dave says, I'm a fan of his. He's done Mark Maron's podcast and Jericho's. I did know he did Jericho's relatively recently, because I saw his name
that was within the last couple of months anyway. Yeah.
Mark says the lads and the lumps. Suit says Jimmy Hart, what a worker. And Jamie, I'm assuming in reference to what quote I was about to read out, just said, oh no.
Same reaction I had.
Yeah. Okay, folks, are we suited? Pour your drinks, because it's time to talk about one of the most infamous Thunder episodes in history. I believe I have watched this episode like at the time.
Okay.
Suit says, you want Lucha Libres, go to Japan. Vince Russo, 2002. Fucking hell.
And that man was made head of TNA.
Yeah. Was this your first time watching this episode in its entirety?
Yes, I have definitely seen clips and sound bites and whatever else you can have from it. But yeah, no, watching it end to end, this is my first time.
This is like, so this, for people who don't know what episode this is and you're just kind of tuning in, welcome. The episode we're talking about is the infamous Kevin Nash commentated episode of Thunder. He is wall to wall all over this show. It's effectively marks the end of him having any direct influence on the booking in the company, because he's still one of the voices in the room at this stage. Like we said, Ferrara takes over next week. Mm-hmm. Well, in 2 weeks. Russo and Ferrara. So this is his last Lash, basically. And to say he has firmly given up on this company and is just here collecting a paycheck is really putting it mildly. And I don't know if that's the saddest thing, or the saddest thing is that he thinks he's fucking hilarious. And Kevin Nash is somebody who's really funny, but the times he's really not funny is when he's really trying to be funny.
I think the saddest part of it all is that he thinks he's smart.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even the fact that he's legit popping himself and Tenay on the show. We need to say that as well. Mike Tenay is playing off this whole episode like him and Kevin Nash are fucking drinking buddies.
Yeah. And Larry's loving it as well. Don't rule Larry out. Like, him and Larry it's like the first half of the show is Nash and Tenay like having laughs with each other, and then the back half of the show, Tenay is clearly getting a little tired of it because it's the same 4 or 5 jokes over and over again. But then Larry starts to love it.
Larry comes alive. Yeah, he realizes what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Nash plays it up like, oh, I am the smartest man in the world, and I mean, I don't know. Like, I know he says he got, what was it, 150k extra for being the booker. And then, instantly booked himself not to wrestle, which just isn't true.
Yeah.
Like, he wrestled for many, many months. His first thing was to put the belt on himself.
Yeah. His retirement, quote-unquote retirement, like, lines up with when he actually got depowered as booker, where he's, like, he's still on the committee, but it's Dusty and them have taken over again from him. Like,
he definitely took over the book sometime in the end of 98. We know that for certain. He didn't retire until August of 99.
Yeah. Yep.
So, look, he's a wrestler. He's full of shit.
Yeah, I was going to say, a wrestler having a loosey-goosey approach to the facts? Never.
So, but, Nash will also tell you he booked Rey Mysterio to beat him, which happened in February. Yeah. So, which is it? Were you not the booker? Were you, you can't have it every way.
Jamie makes a very good point that Larry gives up on doing commentary and is just taking the piss, while Tenay is doing the yes and improv approach where he's just trying to encourage Nash to keep going with his bits. That is very true.
But yeah, so it is sad that he thinks he's the smartest and the funniest man in the company all on the same night.
He thinks in his head that he is, the stint Punk did on commentary when he was hurt, and he actually was hilarious, but he wasn't burying the company. And he wasn't being too insider to irony poison the product. Like that's what he thought he was, but he was an active detriment to this show, where it's like the message of this show is one of the biggest stars in this company doesn't give a shit about this company and is barely paying attention. So me as a fan, if I'm paying attention, I must be a fucking idiot.
Mm-hmm. And it's the guy that's telling you he's after been booking this shit. He does not care.
Yeah, absolutely. I hate it, and I'm an important person here. So, come on.
Now, what do you think happened here? Do you think he knew? Obviously, he knew Russo was coming in, right?
Yeah.
So he will have been aware that his power was being diluted or taken away from him, and he was no longer the absolute top guy. Mm-hmm. So, do you think that Bischoff wasn't there for Thunder? So Nash just booked the most ridiculous show possible and put himself on commentary.
I think it's real last day at school vibes, or more accurately, maybe it's like, you know, your teacher's been out for a while, you've had substitutes and things like that, but you hear the new teacher's coming in on Monday, but it's Wednesday. So you're like, right, for the last 2 days, it's like lame duck. It's like, we could just do whatever we want. It's not important because everything is going to get fucking reset.
It's a reset, yeah, on Monday.
Yeah, so they're just like, they're fucking coasting. They're just doing whatever the fuck. Like, I don't think he's deliberately going, I'm going to put on the worst show imaginable. I think he's just like, fuck it, names out of a hat.
But I mean, there's a lot of Kevin Nash associated people that get booked on this show.
True.
That wouldn't normally get booked on the show.
Yeah, I guess so. The very select people he doesn't completely bury as well. Like, it's very clear who his faves are in it. Or at least there's one person that I thought was really funny. There's one person who isn't a known associate of Nash's, but he's like, I'm not burying that guy. I'm slightly scared of that guy. And we'll talk about it when we get to him. It's very obvious who it is. But anyway, this is Thunder, episode 84 from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the 14th of October, 1999. A 1.8 rating, which is down 0.1 from last week.
The slide continues.
Indeed. As Tanae says, we are in the heart of Cajun country, the land of crawfish and bayou swamps, and as I wrote, where Lash Leroux is at the peak of his powers. He feeds off the bayou. It makes him stronger. I wrote, Kevin Nash is here, off his face and roaring, laughing already.
Yeah, literally the first time you see him, he's laughing at somebody off screen.
He's doing the classic Kevin Nash, I've just smoked a huge joint smirk. And he's sitting there in his casual gear. He doesn't give a fuck. Tanae immediately is just not, like, the kayfabe Tanae is not having any of it. Because he's like, why are you here? You retired.
And that's when we get Kevin Nash saying, people said I'm a horrible booker, but I booked myself into the best angle of all time. I retired, and since they're paying me big money, they decided to put me on the broadcast to recoup some of those funds.
And then he does the big rictus grin.
Yeah, and then he instantly pops the big grin, yeah.
And they said, where's Scott Hall? Because this is during the, like, you know, Scott Hall is going to show up any time now and doesn't era of WCW. He said Scott was last spotted bringing 2 ladies out for sushi on Monday, otherwise he would have been here. Yeah, I know. So this is like, that's the level. If you want to know where the bar for humor is at, if you laughed at that, you're going to think this is really funny. But if you, a normal human being, didn't laugh at that, you're in for a long 2 hours, as we were on this.
Also, you know, this is when Kevin Nash books his own almost divorce by the jokes he's making on TV.
Indeed. Baton Rouge. I have always wanted to go to Louisiana. I've always said that, like, I was tempted by the couple of manias that happened in New Orleans. It's a part of the country I want to go. And I'd like, unless there's a mania or something there, I'd seldom have the excuse to go.
I mean, you could always stay with your half brother, Lash.
I can, yeah. If Lash Leroux will put me up, I'm there. I'm there. If either Raging Cajun, him or James Carville, are willing to put me up, or if Suit's willing to put me up either up in Baton Rouge, I'll be there.
I mean, listen, I think you could just show up at Lash Leroux's estate, and you know the help would just let you in because they would think you were Lash Leroux.
Of course, yeah, uncanny. You know.
I mean, just
you know what, like,
just do that, yeah.
Yeah. Like, maybe if there's a momentous Lash Leroux moment on Thunder, I'll have to research. I might try to grow out the chops a little bit for it. Our first match, fucking brace yourself. This is, you want to talk about where bars for quality are set on this show. We're starting off with Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker. Oh.
Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker is such an odd-looking human.
He looks like he either badly needs or has just done a shit in his trousers.
It's disturbing to me that is so similar to the notes I had.
What did you say?
He looks like a heavily constipated man. He's so tense. He's just...
His face is all twisted up like...
That's the man that trained Bill Goldberg.
You're doing one of those where you can feel like a vein pop on your forehead. giving birth in there.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And that was the most interesting note I had about this match. We do get told by Tenay that Goldberg breached the no contact rule with Sid. And they teased us for the whole show there was going to be a resolution about whether the match is off or on. And then there's never progress in that storyline. It's just something they constantly tell us about for 2 hours.
They went to a video package later on in the show that told us everything about the upcoming stipulation.
But not about the update on, like,
No,
they were telling
no,
you this
no,
whole show.
no.
The match is possibly cancelled and no update whatsoever. Because what you really want to do when you're plugging a pay-per-view is go, you know that match everyone wants to see? Probably not happening. Don't worry about it, guys. You can turn off the TV now. And a lot of them did. Yeah, and I love it. Yeah, this story. I always hate when the match, like, because it makes no sense to me that, like, the babyface breaches the no contact rules. So the match happening is in the hands of the heel.
Yes.
So, like, in kayfabe, the heel has now no incentive whatsoever to accept the match.
No, pretty much. And considering he's the champ as well, so, you know, why would he take the match?
Because the way he's claiming victories, he can say, well, Goldberg forfeited the match because he broke the clause, so I beat Goldberg. So, I mean, there's no reason for Sid to go forward with the match now. So he's going to look like an idiot when the match does happen.
I mean, Sid looking like an idiot is not something new in WCW.
Yeah. Something you can also tell that wouldn't be a big focus of Vince Russo's WCW when he comes in is Tenay getting away with sneaky shout-outs to wrestling history. Because he talks about
Mid-South's history.
Hacksaw's history in Louisiana with Mid-South. And Kevin, ever the businessman, is just like, you know what? I respect the hell out of Jim Duggan for staying over all these years.
I did like that. Nash had a line very early in the match. He's like, if I'm Buddy Lee Parker, I'm just grabbing the board. And like every time he'd get on offense, he'd just be like, grab the board. Grab the board. Why isn't he grabbing the board?
Yeah. And there's a bit where he goes outside the ring and he really loud, he goes, grab the board. Because there was, like, for this match and the next match where there's like, it's low level guys, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm kind of entertained a little bit by Nash, but like then the stick wears thin and it's like, right, okay, like get on with it. And he's still doing there's one joke that he beats deep into the earth that we'll get to.
There's a reason that this show is named The Old Glory Shizzzow.
So Suit says, just looked it up. The Riverside Centreplex where this was is now the Raising Cane's River Center, which is where Gunther beat Ricochet for the Intercontinental title.
Isn't Raising Cane's like one of those Chick-fil-A type places or something? Like a fast food chicken?
Yes, because there was an episode of Doughboys, a podcast I like, about Raising Cane's.
I tried to watch Doughboys. I couldn't get into it. I know you
need the right guest.
Yeah.
You need the right guest. I'll send you the episode with Jason Mantzoukas on it. That might get you in.
Yeah, I watched one with Stephanie Beatrice, and I like Stephanie, but it's very dry.
Yeah. So anyway, they talk about Duggan. Tenay. Oh, today I love this, right? So Tenay is trying to basically establish Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker as like their equivalent of X-Pac, where it's like, to prove yourself in WCW, you got to go through Buddy Lee
No, not in
Parker,
WCW, in the power plant.
Oh, in the power plant, sorry, yeah. But the way he put it, because he was talking about the power plant, the way it ended up coming out of his mouth was, oh, even the green as grass dipshit wrestlers beat this guy.
I mean, that's what it was. It was
but that is true.
If you want to progress in the power plant, you have to beat Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker. He's like the first step on the totem pole.
Yeah, you have to beat him, and you will. Duggan makes a comeback here, which is very generously described on commentary as a House of Fire comeback. And then, Kevin Nash again is like, why won't Buddy just grab the board? I was like, he doesn't give a shit. The match isn't much. Duggan, like, most of the match is just whomping on Buddy Lee Parker. Scoop slam, hits his tackle, hits the Old Glory knee drop. Which is really funny when he says at first, this is really funny. Because Kevin Nash obviously has never watched the show in his life.
He hadn't got a clue.
So when he says Old Glory knee drop, he pauses for a beat and he goes, did you just make that up?
I think he thought today was ribbing him.
Yeah. I was like, no, that's what it's called. And then for the whole rest of the show, we'll get into it. This becomes a bit that gets just dramatically less funny every time it comes up. Now, the first where he's genuinely like, did you make that up? Like, he's not having it.
It's brilliant.
Oh, we have a debate going on in the chat. Suit is saying the chicken is a 6 out of 10 Raising Cane's, and Dave is saying Raising Cane's is amazing.
Oh, well,
we'll watch that.
Unfortunately, I'm going to take Suit's side on this. He lives there.
It's there. He's done the research. Nash already sounds bored stupid, says Mark. You can always rely on Mark for the puns. That's what I love about the brand, the strong personal brand he's bringing to the chat during this.
I do love a good Mark joke.
Speaking of strong personal brands on this show, Lash Leroux is here next. Al is unfeasibly meaty. This is what I wrote. Is like, well, it's such a fucking...
You didn't introduce, it's Al Green. Not the Reverend Al Green. Just Al Green.
Yes. Yeah. I couldn't tell if Al Green now has a mohawk or he's gotten so fucking gassed to the gills, his head has just gotten wider than his hairline.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Nash has that gag where he's like, I thought this was the Reverend Al Green, and starts singing. Yeah. Not for the last time on this show he tries to sing. Hometown crowd happy to see Lash Leroux. Tanae, they're really like, they even though, like, much as I said, like, you know, me in childhood I loved Lash Leroux. Like, revisiting him now, I can see how, like, patently green and not comfortable he is yet, though he is getting more comfortable, and we'll talk about it in this match. But WCW very early doors clearly see something in this guy, because, like, Tanae is fawning over him in this match.
I wonder who it was. Like, he must be a Jimmy Hart guy. Like, he had to have been on Saturday Night for a bit, and Hart was enamored. Yeah. But yeah, look, there's obviously something there with him.
Yeah.
And look, WCW were screaming out for young guys to get over. So, yeah, you know, they've got to try things.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the thing, do you know what I mean? It's a weird parallel to draw, but you know, like New Japan now, where it's just like, you're in a position where you're just going to have to pick some young guys, go with it, and see what happens. Like, whether they look like a surefire, like they can't miss, like Yota Tsuji, or whether it's somebody that you're not so sure about. You just have to start making some bets and seeing if they pay off.
Well, Dave, I'm going to say no, I don't know, because like everybody else, I've cancelled my New Japan World.
Fair. Gato has to do a lot to win you back, does he? So they're talking about him being in line for a Cruiserweight title shot. Kevin is making a weird dated reference saying Dean Malenko is actually Jerry from the Dick Van Dyke Show. That's an actor, Jerry Paris, who had died in 1986. But I will say, I did Google him. There is a little bit of a resemblance between him and Dean Malenko. I don't know why he decided to bring it up at this point in time, but he did anyway.
I think they were making kind of shooty comments about people backstage.
Yeah. And this is the other thing, right? And we've tried to draw attention to this, and I hate to use the phrase "to be fair to Vince Russo," but I think from the younger fans and a lot of maybe people who, you know, as time goes on, you start mashing together different memories of WCW, and I think a lot of people think all the insidery bullshit happening on air started with Russo, and I think we've been pretty fair at charting over pretty much the whole last year in WCW that the insider shit and using phrases like shoot and work and gimmick and things like that are coming out on this show left, right, and center for months. It's the Nash booking regime where it starts.
It's pretty consistently from the start of 1999. Like it like I can't even remember the first time we pointed it out, but it's very consistent throughout this whole run. So, like,
Mark, I was also a Chronic fan. Mark was saying he's in the Lash Leroux fan club, but also loved Chronic, and so did I. We had the same sickness, my friend.
Chronic, obviously, Brian Clark, big fan of the show.
100% friend of the show, Brian Clark.
But yeah, no, the shooty real things were like obviously happening throughout the Nash run. What did you think of the Whiplash? Did you think this was a good looking Whiplash?
I think I think it was an okay looking Whiplash. I think that he's getting a little bit more fluid in his movements in the ring, but I think where Lash really struggles now is where when the other guy is selling, he doesn't know what to be doing.
Yeah, he doesn't want to do that kind of old school, just constantly be, selling to the crowd and, G'ing them up. But he doesn't have that connective tissue yet between the matches, or like between the moves. So he's a little bit lost, and he's a bit like, what do I do?
And because he's the babyface as well, it's not like he can just keep pummeling him and not letting him back up. So he doesn't know what to do. He can't taunt too much. He does his was it his Bourbon Street Blues, they called it, where he's doing his little dance and a splits. Yeah. So he's got that added to the arsenal, I guess. They have now officially called it the Whiplash as well.
I thought it was pretty impressive to get like a guy of Al Green size up for that.
Yeah. It is. I did like that. In a classic WCW camera cut, they cut to a crowd where there was a couple of people celebrating and one elderly man sitting, staring at the ring, wishing for death to come. Just brilliant shit. That's like 2 weeks in a row now where they've cut to the most bored person in the building after a match. Did you notice that the replay of the Whiplash had a weird like filter on it?
No.
With like these diagonal streaks across it,
No.
like it was going for some weird. Oh, it's like they were just going for some art house shit, like on this. I don't know why. I every week during this pay-per-view cycle, I forget that they're trying to make the First Family a thing.
Yep.
So when they cut to Nitro and it was a big First Family beatdown of Harlem Heat segment, I nearly lost the rag altogether. I have to say
it wasn't one beatdown segment; it was two because they've done it the past 2 weeks on Nitro.
Yeah. The committee has confirmed that Package versus Buff next week is happening, just as Package comes out. Larry, ever the pervert, comments on Elizabeth having a couple of great genetics.
Yes.
Which is like, when it's so gross that Tenay and Kevin Nash
No.
like,
Kevin Nash gave him an attaboy. He was like, welcome,
did he?
Welcome,
Did he?
Welcome to the party. That was like Larry's coming out for the show.
Okay, thank you for stopping me from giving credit to him.
No. Kevin Nash gives him an attaboy.
Nash is now just doing references to movies and TV shows he likes. He keeps shouting, "It's in the hole," as this promo is happening. Lex is moaning about stars having to be dragged to Baton Rouge.
How bored was Lex Luger during this promo?
Oh.
He's literally stood with his arms crossed.
Yeah. In a line that was definitely there to pop his buddy Kevin, he gave out about the sawn-off runts in the back. He all but said vanilla midgets. He said he can show up to major sports cities and turns heads, and it's the fans' fault that after 13 years in the business, Lex Luger is dead. They don't appreciate him. And this is Larry's best moment all night because he goes, Lex goes, like a lot of great artists, I won't be appreciated till I'm gone. And Larry goes, I'll appreciate him when he's gone.
Did you notice Package saying, turn to Liz and is like, how many internet emails and letters and cards?
Yeah.
And then he gets lost.
Yeah.
And then cycles back to that point later on in the promo.
And then Nash, minutes after the joke had passed, mumbles under his breath, Old Glory torture rack.
No, there was a fan in the crowd doing a torture rack to somebody else.
Oh, was there?
And that's why, as that shot came up on screen, Kevin Nash goes, Old Glory torture rack.
Oh, for God's sake. Package says no one sent him a card when he was hurt. Buff comes out. Lex does a very funny, like, his voice cracks as he says, I'm talking. Buff, I gotta say,
he also says Buff is a big star. He gets his own mic now.
Yeah. But Buff here, by the way, the look was incredible. He had dungarees, the leather cap, the goatee, but he's shaved off the mustache at the moment. And I said he looks like a French pornographer.
Not a vampire pornographer. That was on the other channel.
No, that's the other channel, yeah. Buff's a very Jackie Treehorn sort of look here. Buff says he did check in when he was hurt. Maybe he just forgot who his friends are. He wants to know what's up with Sting and Hogan. Rick Steiner is out and they beat him down, but he gets saved by La Parka. Right? Now, one thing I will say about this prompts the one funny running bit that Kevin Nash does on this show, where he tries to start a bit of lore about Lex Luger when he goes, well, this is a fact you don't know today. Lex Luger is horrified. He is terrified of skeletons.
Brilliant. It's absolutely fucking fantastic. I loved it.
I guess, like, if you're doing 100 bad jokes, one of them is going to land. And this Lex Luger is terrified of skeletons bit, that was going to be my alternate title for this episode. It's Lex Luger fears skeletons.
Well, I mean, look, as we know in 2024, Lex Luger is terrified of the skeletons in his closet.
True. Nitro flashback, and Kidman gets caught in the shower with Tori, so now the Tori-Kidman romance is officially on screen.
I do love that David Flair is now just a full-on geek.
Yeah, he is. Gormless idiot David Flair. This is his first appearance we've seen him in quite a while.
Yeah, since he lost the US title.
Yeah. David is jealous when he finds them. Well, actually, no, it's not that he's a geek. It's that he's a cook is the gimmick now. Because he's like catching all these men either actively having sex with his girlfriend in the shower or at least attempting to have sex with her at a future date, in Kurt Hennig's case. And it's really funny. Did you hear, like, Kurt Hennig, maybe the funniest line I heard all night?
Let me show you something you've never seen. That one?
No, where he goes... He's talking to Tori, and they're sitting on, like, is it the ring? Like, when the ring's not fully made up.
I just thought it was the crates, the moving
Oh, maybe it was the crates. Yeah. I couldn't quite see what it was. Because, like, I was immediately distracted by him flirting with Tori. She's, like, standing directly in front of him, and he just goes, you know, I got 2 CDs already. And then David tries to interrupt, but you know how low on the totem pole you must be. Not when you get beaten down by Kurt Hennig, but when you get beaten down by Curly Bill.
All right.
Who was also standing there watching Kurt Hennig macking on Tori as well. And you can hear ever the continuity man, Kurt Hennig goes, "That's one for your old man, kid."
He's gonna get that payday, Dave. He's gonna get it.
He will. He believes in himself. He will. We have a tag team match up next. God help us all. As Brian Knobbs and Hugh Morris face the Armstrongs. And look, we'll say it. We've said it every time. Back to that amazing segment where they get kicked to bits as Bobby Heenan watches on through a door like a creep.
Still one of my favorite bits on the show.
It's so good. It was so good. Scott and Steve are really smooth professional wrestlers, but they have the charisma of a fucking brick.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I'm watching them in this match. Like, mechanically, these guys are so much better than the tag team that are being pushed here. And it's so sad to watch them. Like, this match is so bad that Kevin Nash sounds like he's on fucking NyQuil during this. Like, he's borderline asleep, mumbling into the microphone.
That's because he can't bury Hogan's boy.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash is very selective, as you said at the top of the show, or the top of the start of the review. He's very selective in who he buries, and he does not go anywhere near Hogan's boy.
Now, he makes a reference in this that genuinely impresses Mike Tenay, because he says that Brian Knobbs gets Bull Nakano to fly in from Japan to do his hair every week.
That's Morris. He says Hugh Morris.
Oh, is it Morris?
He says what's even more impressive than the moonsault is the fact that Morris flies to Japan every week, once a week, to get Bull Nakano to do his hair for him.
Which is funny because, like, Mike Tenay is flabbergasted that he knows the name Bull Nakano.
I thought Mike Tenay would have been aware that Kevin Nash was in the same company as Bull Nakano for a full year.
You would think. But to be fair, that is no indicator of whether Kevin Nash will remember your name.
I mean, can we say it on air that Kevin Nash may or may not have been in a relationship with some other person that was in that women's division at the time?
He may have been. That also is no indicator of whether Kevin Nash will remember who you are.
Fair enough.
It's so funny. It's so funny that we're just pretending like the First Family have always been a serious tag team and not fucking jobbers to the stars for the last 2 years.
I mean, they're a serious tag team.
Would you fuck off, Lee? Would you fuck off? This is like the 4th time they tried to make them happen for like 2 weeks.
I mean, I preferred when it was Ming and Barbarian.
I didn't realize that it's not Halloween Havoc is happening this year. It's Slim Jim's Halloween Havoc. And Kevin Nash does nearly actively fall asleep while trying to promote the Harlem Heat match. I said, are the Armstrongs the most fluid, absolute nobodies of all time? It's possible. Scott in particular is so smooth in the ring. Like, he is really fucking good in this match. The match is bad, but he's good.
Steve is probably the second worst wrestler in the family. Obviously, Brian is the worst.
And it's not close.
And it's not even close. Steve is much better than Brian. But yeah, no, Steve is not anywhere close to Scott, and Scott is like miles behind Brad. If we're ranking the Armstrongs, which apparently we are now.
Yes, ranking of Armstrongs. Welcome to our new podcast.
Can we talk about the Armstrongs in pleather? Because
it was a very S&M Basham's type look, wasn't it?
See, that's what I was going to say. It was very, very sticky leather looking.
Yeah, I was looking around at the entrance ramp to see Shaniqua coming out for the interference.
I want to know, was the Bullet going to be booked coming out in the same gear?
No, only TNA would happen upon the Bullet Bob, old man Bullet Bob is money idea later on.
I mean, Bullet Bob was a better worker than Conan when he came in, so
yeah, worker than at least two of his sons.
I thought for all the shit you give them, I thought this was the best that Knobs and Morris looked.
Yeah, because it's also probably the best two workers they've wrestled in months on this show.
Yeah, I mean, that's beside the point. I just want to say that, you give the First Family far too much shit.
Not enough, I would say. There's not enough hours in the day. They're dog shit. They're awful. They suck and they should go away.
I mean, I'll tell you, your dislike for the First Family and the Vianos is just...
Fuck off. Scott gets like a brief fire up, but Morris deals with him, hits the moonsault, they win. Knobs on the microphone shouting at Scott, but cutting a promo on Harlem Heat, which is really funny because Tenay and Kevin Nash are like that's not Harlem Heat, that's Scott Armstrong. He's talking to the lads hit the ring, the heels bail, and Kevin Nash popping himself massively by going, that's not Booker T, that's Wesley Snipes.
And then he just goes, oh no, it is Booker T.
Yeah. Stevie does the whole, why wait till the pay-per-view, let's fight now, and the heels bail. Bob is the best of the Armstrongs.
Who said
that? Mark Buckley said that, of course. Steve Armstrong has wrestled more matches than Brock Lesnar.
I'd believe that, yeah.
Yeah. Stu did say there's an inordinate amount of wrestling in this Thunder. There's 8 matches on this show.
Yeah.
Now, I doubt one of them goes past like 6 or 7 minutes. But yeah, there's a lot of... It's one of those shows you either get like it's all video packages and 5 matches, or you get it's 9 matches that are like 2 minutes long.
It tends to be the live ones that have a lot of matches.
Yeah. I wonder, do they front load it with that, and then the taped ones are like, oh fuck, we ran out of time, we just have to do loads of video packages.
Here's a fucking 19-minute Nitro recap.
Yeah. So a Nitro flashback, and we get Perry versus Ray, which was probably a good match. We would get to see a little bit later as well.
We get more Revolution tension, Dave, as now it's Malenko and Benoit versus Saturn and Douglas.
And Douglas has been doing the chain bit, and that comes up a bit later on. Kidman comes out, and that's a DQ. Right. Then we get to what I think is Kevin Nash's magnum opus on this show, and something you went out of your way. We usually don't talk to each other about the show before we record it, but you had to point out something I had to look forward to. And this was a video package, Lee. Do you want to set up the video package? Because I've written down not everything that was said, but I've written down some of the most memorable lines from it.
I got as much of it down as I could. Like, I took, like, this video package is what? 3 minutes long? It's not even 3 minutes.
No.
It's probably closer to 2. I'd say it took me about 15 minutes to get through this. Because I was trying to get as much of it down as I could. And I don't know if you know this, but the network is absolute dog shit.
Yes.
Anybody that ever hears this from WWE, your network is shit. I fucking hate you.
you can scrub back 30 seconds with the little button, or if you do the little skippy skip, it goes like not quite a full chapter back on the show.
No.
It goes like a random amount of time backwards.
Or if you're really unlucky, it'll just shut down the app on you.
Yeah. Do you remember, like, for a while, when it was on the old architecture of the network, it had convenient chapters at the start of every match? And, like, at the bottom of the page, if you were watching in the browser, you could actually pick a tile and skip to that match.
It was so good.
And it was a 10-second skip. So it was really handy for us taking notes, because you could hit 10-second back, 10-second back, and you'd be good. It took far less time to get through these shows. And also, it worked on more devices. The only things I can get my WWE network to work on are Google TV, my browser, and sometimes my Xbox.
I have it on my Fire Stick in the living room. And it is absolute fucking shit. I hate it. Anyway.
It has been garbage on PlayStation for several years
I don't
now.
even attempt it on PlayStation anymore. It's just so bad.
Every 30 seconds it pauses for a minute, basically.
So, this package, I think they had actually teased showing this package because they were going to give the whole backstory of Goldberg breaking the no touching rule or the stipulation.
Yeah, I mean, for something that had absolutely no storyline progress on the show, it was the main story of the show.
So Kevin,
it's the thing they talk about the most.
Kevin Nash says he is the one that spent all day. He actually says today, "You think I did no prep for this show? I spent hours in the truck putting together this package." And the package starts, and then Tanay's going, "Did you not overlay any sound on this?"
Yeah,
and Ash's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, and Tanay is like, "Oh, do we have to narrate this now?" And Ash goes, "No, I'll narrate it." And that's when we get 2 minutes of
voice.
Kevin Nash.
He's doing a voice that's kind of similar to... It's like he was doing an audition tape for Bane and The Dark Knight Rises, but just not muffled. Because instead of saying man, he says man. And it just... That's the first thing I thought of is like, perhaps he's wondering why you would shoot a man instead of throwing him off a plane.
I thought it was like the announcer voice, you know, like the big boy announcer voice. But just he puts a twang on it for no reason. Like
you merely adopted the dog. I was born in it.
I need to go watch that movie again. It's so bad. Like his first lines are, Bill Goldberg, a gladiator of a man who cannot touch another man. Yeah. And then Sid...
no, is it... Who cannot touch another man, and then what does it say?
Sid says, "You can't touch me, Goldberg." And Clash just goes, "Oh no, it's not. That's not what he says." What he says something, and then Nash goes, "Oh, we don't know because we haven't touched yet."
He says something about like, "Oh, you think you're so tough? Like I'll beat you," or something like that. And he's like, "We do not know because they haven't touched." And Kevin Nash Bane is my new recurring character on this show.
He's like, "I laugh at you," and then he turns to Tanay and goes, "How am I doing, Mike?"
Yeah. Tanay is clearly losing it during this.
Yeah, I think this is when Tanay just embraces the crazy fully for the rest of the show now.
But the thing is, like, if you listen to the voice, he's acting like this is Goldberg's voice because he's speaking in the first person as Goldberg.
Now, I have to say, he is burying the fuck out of Goldberg and Sid here.
Oh yeah,
it's very
brave man. Brave man.
It is very obvious that Kevin Nash has no respect for either of these two people.
No. Now, to be fair, knowing Sid, you could bury him to his face, and there's only like a 60% chance he'll grab that. That's what you're doing. But Goldberg is a man who, like, notably will throw down at people who have a problem with him, and I would not want to anger that man. But he's doing the look. What he said, watch this, and the very short policeman look at the gigantic Goldberg.
Yes, he calls him the gigantic Goldberg multiple times,
and then slags him off by going, "Look at me milk the hard camera." Goldberg, a bald-headed man with a tattoo who lost one time to Kevin Nash.
No, he said lost one time to a fearsome warrior Mr. Kevin Nash.
And he go, you can hear Larry go, I want some of his water. And he just go, that's not water.
No, did you not hear what he said to Danae after that? He's like, he just turns and his normal voice goes, that's pretty good. You see how I got that in there?
Yeah. And then at one point Goldberg's like mean mugging the camera and he goes, gigantic traps. I did love how he goes, Sid Vicious, 6'10", 590 pounds of steel.
What he says, 591 pounds of menacing steel. The current US champ, Sid Vicious, tells the world that Bill Goldberg, if you touch me, there will be no match at Halloween Havoc.
Yeah. He calls Van Hammer the Van Hammer Man.
Yes.
Which, possible new gimmick idea.
I'll be down for it.
His line about Rick Steiner did make me laugh, though. Rick Steiner, a man from Detroit who sounds like a southern redneck. How did that happen?
Oh, God.
And then ending with a very melodramatic, what will Monday bring us?
Oh, no, you missed the whole part about Goldberg coming out.
Yeah,
in the main
I
event.
was. At this point, I'd given up typing everything and I was just typing the highlights.
So he says he put in a bit from the main event, and then as it comes up, he goes, here it is. And he says, as the crowd chants for Goldberg, the menacing, bald-headed giant of a man who has a record second to none. And here he comes. The people chant his name. And once again, this champion of a man delivers a spear second to none. He turns, and now he reckons the fact that he cannot touch the agile giant Vicious. And then Vicious says, you can't touch me, Goldberg. And Nash goes, I just said that, Sid. Goldberg ponders the situation. He looks to the side. He looks side to side. Walks away, gives a wink. And a tackle. What will happen? What will Monday bring us? And that's the end of the package.
Like, it's great. Like, if you have any investment in WCW, it's terrible. But looking at it now, it's great.
It's just the absolute burial of Goldberg. Like it couldn't get any worse than what he did at Starrcade. Oh, no, it got worse.
Yeah. Speaking of it gets worse, Horace Hogan versus Bryan Adams. This match starts with Mike Tenay having to apologise because they gave a bunch of ticket sale details last week on the show that were completely wrong.
Yes.
Tickets aren't on sale yet.
Tickets aren't on sale for another week. Dave, I was not aware that Bryan Adams comes out.
He's on the fucking gas.
Well, no, I knew that. But I was not aware that we got a Bryan Adams run post the NWO, post Demon, between Chronic.
Pre-Chronic. Yeah. Yeah. And he's clean shaven.
Yeah.
That's weird. I didn't recognize him at first because he was clean shaven. But he's looking jacked, baby.
Well, did you not recognize him when he was singing Summer 69?
No, I didn't, funnily enough.
That would have gave it away. Like.
You think? Kevin Nash burying Shane Douglas, saying Shane Douglas is dragging the entire Revolution down with him.
Yeah, brilliant.
Tenay said Malenko and Benoit are so pissed off they've gone to New Japan.
Yeah, they just left the country. Just said, fucking book us, New Japan, we're out here.
But also, I was just like, they're the baby faces of this feud, and Tenay has gone, well, they're cowards. They've left the continent.
What did you think of, like you said there, he's clean shaven, you didn't recognize him. What did you think of Bryan Adams straight from High Spots gear?
I didn't care for it. It's weird. Like, it is clearly, they hit the nail on the head. It's clearly the look of a man in between gimmicks. Like, he has no idea what's next.
It's like fucking tights that DDP turned down because there's too many diamonds on them.
Yeah. Nash makes this line about a minute or so in that nearly knocks Today off his chair. He goes, I thought Horace Hogan did well against Goldberg. And Today's like, what? Horace gets the heat in this match pretty much straight away, and that is not a thing that's working for this crowd. But, he's working for his $500 per date, so he's happy out. Nash says in perhaps the funniest line, one of the funniest lines of the night, says, you see, there's no chance of Lex Luger coming down during this match because Horace Hogan has skeletons on his singlet.
To which Tenay and Larry then go, well, you can't call it. You're going to get fined now. You're going to get a letter because he's not Lex Luger. He's the package.
Yeah, Suit audibly groaned at Hogan versus Adams. Too fucking right.
Now, listen.
Dave is excited that we're going to Sid and Nash at Starrcade for reasons.
If we got Hogan versus Adams in 2002 when Randy Savage was trying to make it happen, that would have been much more exciting.
Yeah, true. And this is like clearly the two men don't give a shit because like Bryan Adams is just selling and selling and selling, and then he just isn't. And he hits as close to a pile driver out of nowhere as possible. And it's not the one arse cheek pile driver. No. He lands on both cheeks firmly with this one, but he like twists as he's going down like really awkwardly, and I'm just like, fuck, man, this man can't do a pile driver without risking someone's life. Like on the week where we didn't include it in the Observer segment, but this is the week where it was confirmed that Droz was paralyzed.
Yeah.
And Bryan Adams is going out there hitting pile drivers like this. It's fucking insane.
Tell you, shoot pile driver. It's the way to go.
Yeah.
You did miss that we had an Old Glory mule kick at one point in this match.
Yes.
Just in case people are thinking, there wasn't that many Old Glory references. Oh no, there's plenty. There's still to come.
And we're not done either. Mean Gene up next, and he's introducing Lash Leroux, but he puts a little bit too much sauce when he describes him as being in Baton Rouge. Lash Leroux comes out. This is where Nash loudly wonders, like, who's booking this?
Who gave him promo time?
Yeah, Lash's early promo voice is fucking mental. Like, it does not match what you think is going to come out of that head.
All I could think was Bobby Boucher.
Yeah. 10 days from now in Lash Vegas, he's walking out with the straps. With the strap. It's a lot of pandering, but then in the middle of the promo, he reminds us that he is 22 years old.
Yes.
And he's being thrust into a very prominent position on the card very quickly, so you kind of forgive him a little, because this is the first promo time he's had on Thunder.
Lash still isn't 50. Just think about that.
Yeah, still, to this day, isn't 50. Yeah, that's fucking terrifying, isn't it? Then we get a recap of Brad Armstrong World Police from last week, where he's like, I speak American, you better speak American too, to Berlin.
Rah, America.
This is where I flat out quit on my first attempt to watch this show, because we get Berlin versus Prince Ikea, the Flat Pack Sovereign. I wrote, fucking no.
I did like Kevin Nash's threat to put together a video package for the giant bodyguard for next week.
Yeah, who is still unnamed.
Yes.
Berlin hits his double fist salute, which Kevin Nash says is German Taibo, which I did laugh. That's a very 1999 gag.
Did you miss Nash's reasoning for booking the main event for tonight?
No. What did he say?
He said half the guys booked on the show didn't show up.
Great stuff.
To which
just
Tanay
communicating to you, the people that work here don't even want to be here.
To which Tanay is like, oh, so we're just saying that out loud now.
I'll be interested if there's more details about this Thunder in the Observer coming up. So Prince rushes him, hits a Thez press. Berlin hits a backbreaker for the Heat. Tanay now describes the commentary team as all shoot TV. This is where Nash, and I'm going to sit back at this point because you named this episode, so I want to get you to explain Kevin Nash's big pitch for a TV show that we now learn is because they're thinking about getting rid of Saturday Night.
So he asked Tanay, he's like, can I give you guys a scoop? To which they both were like, oh yeah, we live for scoops here. And he says, the Saturday Night Show is about to be awoken on TBS. He says, Scott Hall, myself, and one of our colleagues are in negotiations for a 1-hour wrestling variety show, which will feature musical acts and interviews, called The Shizzzow. Will be taking
the Big Shizzzow.
The Big Shizzzow will be taking,
which I think is very deliberate.
Yes,
by the way,
will be taking over on Saturday nights.
Mm-hmm. Are you sad this never came to fruition?
I would have watched it.
Would this have been the early debut of Chet Lemon?
Probably.
Yeah. So he did one day eventually get to execute his vision.
He did.
And it's good to see a man's dreams come through, isn't it?
I mean, I'd like to imagine that it could have been an early version of the paparazzi productions.
Yeah, maybe. WCW missed a trick there. So IKEA hits what Kevin Nash very obnoxiously calls a high back body drop, which was not a very high back body drop at all.
No.
To set up what he described as the Old Glory Samoan drop. He springboards into a power slam, a couple of pinning attempts by Berlin. Tenay describes the bodyguard as a very large man watching. Thanks for that shout out, Mike Tenay. And then the man who would later be identified as the Wall brother punches IKEA with his gloved hand, and Berlin hits his neck breaker for the win. Absolutely pointless affair.
The Alex Wright neck breaker continues to be one of the worst finisher moves in wrestling.
Yeah, and you know how much I love a neck breaker. And this
this feud is really a battle between your two loves.
Yeah,
it's a neck breaker and a Russian leg sweep, and they're both shit.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say "and the Wall," another one of my great.
That
loves.
is true. The Wall is one of your great loves.
Speaking of my great loves, here is a video package of Meng killing people and not selling for them. Very enjoyable.
I'm into the Meng. Love the Meng.
Yeah, and then Meng comes out for this match. In the very recognizable late WCW Meng gear of the hair is now braided. He's got the gold and black parachute pants going.
Gone are the faces of fear pants. Take no, Barbarian.
And speaking of gone, boy, do they bury Buzz Stern and Luther Biggs 1,000 feet below the surface of the earth in this match. He has not even hit the ring when at least two commentators have called Luther Biggs fat.
I mean, Kevin Nash openly calls him fat. He's not in very good shape, is he?
Yeah. Him and Larry both are called him fat, and today is trying to also agree but not use those words.
I did like Nash saying since Meng has been gone, he's got a pretty sweet hair team going on. That was the description.
And he says, come to think of it, you never see Meng and Barry White in the ring at the same time.
And today can't argue with it. He's correct.
Yeah. And what's funny is they're burying all this match, but Nash, possibly out of his own personal safety, just goes, but you know what? Meng is very tough, man.
Yeah, they start going into Meng's shoot history of going into bars and beating up multiple people for the crack.
Is I need to specify, I'm having fun here, but I respect Meng. Please don't hurt me. Is basically what this was. Which is hilarious. And I did just watch, I was telling you, I've been watching Dark Side of the Ring, and I did get to see the clip of Meng watching the Shockmaster.
Oh, okay.
Have you not seen this clip?
No.
So they show Meng because it's the John Tenta episode, and they talk about the natural disasters. And they talk about Uncle Fred going to WCW and doing the Shockmaster thing. And Meng had never seen the Shockmaster clip.
What?
And Meng, the most serious man in the world, fucking goes in hysterics laughing. He's laughing for a solid 30 seconds. He's just what an idiot. I've never seen this before.
I need to watch that. Okay, I'm going to go watch that after
Fred,
we
I
finish.
love you, but this is fucking brilliant. He's wiping tears away laughing at him.
It's from 1993.
Yeah, it's I never thought I'd laugh as much at the Shockmaster thing again because I've seen it so many times, but watching him watch it, brilliant. It's watching it through new eyes. He loved it so much.
I hope Matthew puts it on the new Botchamania.
He's struggling to catch his breath, and he's just Fred, I love you, but this is hilarious. And I've never seen the man so much as smile before. So Meng just whomps Luther and puts him in the Tongan deck grip, and that's it.
I did love Nash's little closing line. He's like, these guys should have known that nobody gets beat after a sweet package like that.
And then Meng doing his thing of just beating up people randomly. After the match, he beats up Buzz Stern and he fucking hoofs Johnny Boone out of the ring as well. This is the very last appearance of Luther Biggs in WCW.
Thank God.
it is the second last appearance of Buzz Stern. He will have one more match in, I think, 2 weeks on Thunder, and that's his lot. So this repackage of Glacier could not have gone worse.
Have you heard the flagship from this week?
No, not yet. I started listening to the Embarrassment of Riches special.
Yeah. No, wait till you get to the Akuma bit. Because he talks about a storyline that they were going to do in Chikara involving Glacier.
Okay.
And
Blood Runs Cold 2.0. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, right. That's immediately what I'm doing after this. I'm sticking on Helldivers and the flagship.
You will fucking
Friday
love
night.
it. I expect to wake up to a text message from you.
Great stuff.
Yeah, no, you love it.
Okay, next match. We've got the rematch from Nitro. Perry Saturn and Rey Mysterio Jr. Nash is just talking shit about when he gets to Las Vegas, he's going to see all his friends at the Crazy Horse. This match starts at about 60 miles an hour because these lads clearly knew they had like 4 minutes and they were still determined to get their shit in.
They worked at a fucking... This was like a Dragon Gate match compared to everything else on the show.
Yeah, this was really fun at 4 minutes, but would have been twice as good if it was twice as long.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because we know what both men can do. And we haven't seen... This is the most we've seen Saturn give a shit in a while.
Yeah, he seems oddly into this Revolution thing.
Yeah, or at least like the guys he's getting to wrestle while he's part of the Revolution thing. He mightn't be into the angle, but he's into some of the guys he's getting to wrestle.
Also, he's away from Rick Steiner, so, you know.
Yeah, he's away from Rick Steiner. He's wrestling like Ray and Eddie and Kidman. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a sizable upgrade.
Look at the guys he's been, you know, he's going to leave the company with in fucking a couple of months.
Yeah. So Saturn's in trouble early. Rough Rider, Old Glory, Springboard, Moonsault. Seated sent onto the outside. Saturn gets a chant, hits a couple of tasty T-bones. Nash pops himself huge by saying he adjusted his arms on the second one. That's more of a porterhouse suplex. Which just Tenay lost it because he's like, oh, I didn't notice the slight change in the grip there. You're right. Larry and Nash just riffing with each other at this point. He calls Larry the Old Glory living legend, and that's when Tenay just goes, you've beaten this one to death, haven't you, pal?
Yeah. I think in this match alone we get an Old Glory Rough Rider. We get an Old Glory eyes to the back of the head.
Old Glory living legend.
Old
Glory elbow drop.
Yeah. It's just it's Old Glory coming out the wazoo in this one.
Yeah. Saturn slugging Ray in the corner. He posts out. Saturn throws him right down. Up on the middle rope. Ray attacks him. Goes for the Hurricane Rana. Gets power bombed off the middle rope. Nash does another weird voice and says, "Not today, Ray Ray." Ray tries a roll up. There's a kick out. Then he goes right back for another roll up, and he managed to catch him for the 3 count. Saturn loses it and slugs Ray, and the ref pulls out the Shane chain.
Shane the chain.
Shane the chain, and lays out Ray again. Hoofs Johnny Boone. Old Glory elbow drop. Rings of Saturn, and the new refs break it up. And again, in another burial, Slick Johnson is one of the referees that comes in, and you hear Nash go, "Is that Goldberg?" And then he ends the segment by just going, "Skeleton Man!"
I think I could be wrong.
Because he's just looking ahead on the format that the main event is next.
I could be wrong here, Dave, but I think Kevin Nash likes La Parka. I don't know.
He's at least tickled by him. Or at least he's tickled himself with this Lex Luger's afraid of skeletons bit. And you know what? He's dead right. It's great. It's a good bit. So, the main event is here, and I know you've been waiting. Rick Steiner and the total package with Miss Elizabeth versus Buff Bagwell at La Parka. And here's the thing, apart from this being a bad match that I take exception to. They have just done the rebrand of Total Package like we're supposed to take him seriously. Mm-hmm. And he comes out here as Rick Steiner's sidekick. Rick Steiner's music plays and he's coming out jogging behind him like, oh, gee whiz! You know, what are we going to do today?
Rick Steiner, who's been nothing but a sidekick for the past 6 months.
Yeah, and a shitty one at that.
Yeah, I mean, I did like when when the heels come out first, and then La Parka comes out with Bagwell, and Nash just goes, "See, he saw La Parka and he ran."
Yeah, and then La Parka takes off his entrance gear, and he goes, "See, he took off the skeleton, and he's still a skeleton."
And then he just goes, "I am Skeleton Man."
Yeah, he loves the skeleton man bit. The match starts outside as a brawl. Buff beats on Luger. Rick choking La Parka with a TV cable. Rick nearly dumps La Parka on the top of his fucking head with a back body drop. And then just to thank him for it, just drops a chair on his head. Buff with the Old Glory choke on the outside. Rick beats La Parka, but Buff... so Rick is still in the ring beating La Parka, but Buff gets up onto the apron and waits politely for the tag, even though this has been a wild brawl. All of a sudden he's like, oh yes, the rules. Lex, he goes to tag Lex in, and Lex is just, I'm fucking wrecked, don't tag me in yet. So he waits, he tags him in, they're cutting La Parka off. Lex nearly gets rolled up but goes back on the attack. We get a whip into the corner, but La Parka gets to boot up, middle rope drop kick. La Parka gets shoved out of the ring when he goes for the hot tag, but as he's falling, Buff does get the tag. The referee recognizes the tag, but all the announcers are like, he's not illegal. So all the announcers missed it because they were too busy popping each other, but it is a legal tag. Buff in as much of a house of fire as Buff can be at this stage. He gets up, and this is where I was just like, this fuck at the end of this show, man.
Oh, it's so bad.
So Buff gets up on the middle rope, ready to do the blockbuster. And he's in the middle of deciding which one of the heels he's going to go for. And La Parka gets in to back him up with the steel chair. And Buff's like, fuck it. Hits La Parka with the blockbuster. Walks out of the ring. The heels beat him down. And the show just ends. That's it. That's your lot. Credits.
I mean, all it was missing was Buff going, did I do a good job, Booker man?
It was fucking terrible. It made no fucking sense why you put the two of them together. It made no sense why he just randomly turned on him. Because I don't get the sensation this is a Buff heel
It's not.
turn. Yeah. Because it's not it also would have made no sense if he joined the heels and beat him down. Because he has no beef with La Parka.
I mean, obviously he does, Dave. I don't know what you're watching.
Yeah. So that was it. That's the end of the fucking show, Jamie said, I was convinced that it was someone else under La Parka's entrance costume and was prepared for a surprise reveal because it did look so low rent. I actually did think the same briefly until he took off the skeleton to reveal a skeleton. I was like, is somebody about to jump Buff pretending to be La Parka? We're doing a Cyclope, Dean Malenko type situation.
The only possible situation is it could have been Sting.
Quite possibly. Maybe that's why he's trying to be babyface again. He's like, he got the rush of pretending to be La Parka. And he's like, oh, I like
but
this.
Jeff Farmer showed up with the wrong La Parka costume.
Yeah.
Or Jeff Farmer. Jeff Farmer. Showed up wrong.
NWO La Parka.
He showed up with the red one.
Yeah. Right, okay. That's the end of this Thunder. Thank God. This infamously bad episode of Thunder. Lee, what were your overall thoughts on the show? And who were your winners and losers? I actually thought you'd frozen there for a second. It's just that you're sad.
Yeah, I'm sad. I'm looking through my notes and I'm looking at the matches, and I don't think there is a winner on this show. Maybe Lash Leroux, if you're being generous.
Yeah, you got plenty of time.
And he got an impressive enough win. I'll say Lash.
Meng maybe, because Meng is now solidly badass squash guy now.
Yeah, that's true. Losers
He's got the parachute pants.
Losers are very much Sid and Goldberg.
Yeah.
They were buried so fucking hard here.
And Kevin Nash exposing himself as not nearly the cool, funny guy he thinks
I think that's easy.
That's
easy for us to say in 2024.
Yeah.
I'll wait until we see what's said in The Observer. Now, I expect Dave to bury it.
Yeah.
But I imagine there was a lot of people that loved it at the time.
Maybe. That's a sad reflection on how bad things are. That's where the bar is, that this is good now. Anyway, your finish counter brought to you by Ludwig Borga has 8 matches on this show. 6 clean finishes inexplicably. Only 1 interference leading directly to a finish with 1 non-finish. Thank you all so much for listening to another episode of Days of Thunder. Thank you so much to the live viewers that have been in the chat, in and out for the evening. Brilliant. Thank you so much. We'll definitely do this again. Lee, before we go, something we did promise to do earlier in the show and we completely forgot. Over at largemanapears.com, our Patreon, that you can join for only €5 a month. We've got some pretty interesting stuff coming up if you are a fan who likes to get into the swing of WrestleMania season.
Yes, we have a special WrestleMania Skip Scramble coming up at the end of this month, our second Patreon show of the month. We will be covering 9 of the best WrestleMania show-stealing matches. It's very rare that we talk about good wrestling on the Patreon, so we thought we would treat ourselves this month. And WrestleMania, obviously, such a rich history of great matches. So we have a pretty wide selection over the years. I think we go as far back as WrestleMania 7 and go up as far as WrestleMania 33. So spanning many years.
3 picks of yours, 3 picks of mine, 3 picks of the listeners.
Yes. And we have quite a lot to look forward to talk about those 9 matches. And that'll be our second show of the month. Obviously, the first show we did this month was the Aaron Quinn selected TRL of Rodman Down Under. And
this will be the opposite of that in terms of quality.
That was
not quality of podcast. That was a very good podcast. I enjoyed doing.
Yes, and Aaron liked it very much. That's always our main thing with the TRLs, is that the person that requests it enjoys the show, and that's the main thing.
Yeah. So if you want to hear us cover completely different wrestling, hear us cover some movies, or if you want to bid at our TRL tier and request us to review a show, A Large Man Appears is where you need to go. largemanapears.com. Patreon.com/WCW Thunderpod. Only for the price of a cup of coffee, you get 3 bonus shows a month. You've got a lonely audio coming down the pike as well that people can look forward to. We do 1 solo audio alternating months, so Lee is up this month. So you can enjoy that, and like I said, 3 bonus podcasts a month. Sometimes we do more live streams than this. We've got some pretty interesting plans for the next couple of months, but we're not going to tip the show us our hand too early. But anyway, thank you very much for listening.
We'll do an on the air discussion. Are we going to do a Dynasty pre-show?
Maybe. I could be persuaded.
That's a pretty good card.
I mean, I'll be up watching it, so yeah, it's not the hardest challenge for me to stay up and do a pre-show beforehand. Yeah, let's do it. Fuck it.
We're live. So, let's go for it.
We're live, pal. Okay, thank you very much for listening to episode 84 of Days of Thunder. We'll be back on the Voices of Wrestling podcast feed in 2 weeks. We will be back behind the paywall next week. Until then, bye-bye, and we'll see you all very soon. Thanks for joining us, and see you again. Thanks everyone for listening to another episode of Days of Thunder. Days of Thunder was produced by Lee Malone and edited by me, Dave Ryan. To keep up to date with the show and find all the ways to listen to us, you can follow us on Twitter at WCW Thunderpod, or click the Linktree link in our Twitter bio or in the show notes. I am at The Day to Dave on Twitter, and Lee is at Malone_713. Days of Thunder is a part of the Voices of Wrestling podcast network. Follow the VOW network anywhere good podcasts are sold for more fine podcasts than you can shake a stick at. Thanks.
Hello there, everybody. It's me, Garrett Kidney, the co-host of You've Got to Be Kidding Me on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
And I am Liam Jones, my full name, and I am also a part of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network as a co-host for You've Got to Be Kidding Me.
We are a TNA history podcast that covers TNA 1 month at a time. We cover all the drama, all the matches, all the Vince Russo nonsense you could ever want in your life.
Have you heard of TNA? I bet you have, but would it be funnier if 2 people made jokes over it the whole time? Probably.
So if that sounds like fun to you, check it out on this very Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network, and Liam will do bits and whatnot.